Good evening, everyone. I'm Brian Trumbore with your nightly review for Monday, November 19th. This is being taped around 4:05 p.m. Eastern Time. This is Jay and the Americans. Jay Black. I'm wearing a Jets hoodie, not exactly a hoodie, pullover, in honor of going to 4-6 on the season after beating the Rams yesterday. There's still a little hope. Actually, Rex Ryan, the coach, he lives in my town of Summit. What I do admire about Coach is that he sends his kids to Summit High School, where his boys have been playing football. Our football team, Summit High School, has won, I think it's 36 straight regular season games. Not too shabby. And not too shabby was the performance in the stock market today. Just one last check. Dow Jones finished up 207 points, 1.6% to 12,795, best day in at least 2 months. S&P 500 was up 2%, and the NASDAQ was up 2.2%, 62 points to 2916. This is after the Dow had a 4-week sell-off and NASDAQ a 6-week losing streak. So they're looking to break that this holiday shortened week. Shares in Apple, which hit $505 Friday intraday before closing at about 528, finished up another $37 today at 565. So from 505 to 565 since Friday. And Google shares rose $21. But the rally was kind of ridiculous. There's absolutely no reason for it, except that we were admittedly very oversold on a short-term basis. Everybody's talking about the fiscal cliff negotiations. Clearly, tax rates on capital gains and dividends are going up. But the Democrats are under big pressure not to touch entitlements. Harry Reid is even against inflation calculation adjustments for Social Security that could save $200 billion plus over a decade. But Congress is now in recess until November 26th. I should have mentioned, going back to the market, gold is at $17.31, up $16, and oil rose $2.30 to $89.30 on more tensions in the Middle East, which I'll get into shortly. One economic data point today: existing home sales came in at 4.79 million on an annualized basis, according to the National Association of Realtors. A little better than expected and up 11% over a year ago. The first aerial assessment revealed 72,000 damaged buildings on the New Jersey coast as a result of Hurricane Sandy, a figure that is going to keep rising. Most heavily impacted was Ocean County, with at least 40,000 of the 72,000. Well, get this, it's estimated in the tri-state area, New Jersey, New York, and Connecticut, that 250,000 cars were damaged in the storm. One other item. According to a review by the Wall Street Journal, this was front page story today and an important one, though also kind of obvious. Journal reviewed securities filings and conference calls at 40 of the biggest publicly traded companies, and half of them have announced plans to curtail capital expenditures this year or next. It's about a punk global economy, slowing demand, massive uncertainty, of course, due to the fiscal cliff and questions over tax policy. And corporate CEOs are just slowing or delaying projects as a result. Turning to Europe. Eurozone finance ministers are meeting Tuesday in Brussels to decide on Greece's next aid payment, that 31.5 billion euro I've been talking about. You have this ongoing dispute now between the European Commission and IMF on extending Greece's debt reduction target. Finland and Germany are among those against further aid than what has already been agreed to, because if you extend the debt reduction target, you're going to need more aid. In Spain, their banks reported that bad loans were at an all-time high again in September as the property bubble there continues to wreak havoc on the economy. Longtime readers of stocks and news should not be surprised in the least about anything that happens in Spain. In Italy, get this, in September, industrial orders fell 12.8% over a year ago. That's huge, which signals a deepening recession there. Separately, just 43% of Eurozone companies are beating revenue expectations as they report for the third quarter. There's just zero pricing power, with the 2013 outlook is exceedingly poor. Back to Spain for one item. The Catalans, think Barcelona, vote on Sunday in regional parliamentary elections that are in effect a referendum on independence. However, the polls show that Artur Mas, the Catalan regional premier, may not get the absolute majority he needs to go ahead with secession plans. A poll for El Pay found that 46% of Catalans backed independence, while 42% wanted to remain part of Spain. However, asked how they would feel if an independent Catalonia was excluded from the EU, only 30% said that they still supported going it alone. And I suspect that figure is going to dwindle further as the week goes on leading up to the vote. That data is courtesy of Graham Keeley of the Times of London. If you're traveling to Greece, the U.S. Embassy in Athens on Friday warned of the risk of violent attacks against visitors perceived to be foreign migrants after a rise in racially motivated assaults. That's the official statement. Again, it shouldn't be a surprise to you. It is all about Golden Dawn that I've been talking about, the neo-Nazi political party. Okay, turning to Israel and the Middle East. The death toll apparently is more than 100 in Gaza today. Another key commander was taken out. There are ceasefire talks in Cairo. Yesterday, speaking from Thailand, President Obama said, quote, "There's no country on earth that would tolerate missiles raining down on its citizens. From outside its borders, we are fully supportive of Israel's right to defend itself." Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu said the army is prepared to significantly expand the operation. The ground war has not started yet. It hopefully will not. There are intense ceasefire talks in Cairo. Khalid Mashal, the political leader of the movement Hamas, which controls Gaza, of course, said not Netanyahu had requested a ceasefire, but that it was up to Israel to stop the war. That Mishal said Israel had started. Israel immediately denied making any such request. Hamas comments about a ceasefire, alleging that Israel is begging for one, are about as accurate as its claims to have shot down an F-15 warplane or attacked the Knesset. Reuters news agency quoted a senior government official as saying, Mr. Mishal said Hamas conditions for a truce included lifting the Israeli blockade on Gaza and an end to Israel's assassinations. Israel has also presented conditions for a ceasefire, which include no hostile fire of any kind from Gaza, and international efforts to prevent Hamas from rearming. Gaza militants still managed to launch at least 100 rockets into Israel today, Monday. But this is worrisome and not helpful. Turkish Prime Minister Erdogan described Israel as a, quote, terrorist state, citing the massacre of children during its bombardment of Gaza. Thank you, Mr. Erdogan. Well, on Thursday I praised the Obama administration for its policy regarding Burma. Interestingly, on Friday, Republican Senator Mitch McConnell praised the White House as well on this topic. What was interesting was that he went out of his way to interject this during a discussion on the fiscal cliff in the White House driveway. In a speech at Rangoon University today, President Obama referred to his inauguration speech in January '09, in which he pledged the U.S. would extend a hand to any country that was willing to unclench its fist. He said, "Today I've come to keep my promise and extend the hand of friendship, but this remarkable journey has just begun and has much further to go. Reforms launched from the top of society must meet the aspirations of citizens who form its foundation. The flickers of progress that we have seen must not be extinguished." He called for an end to communal violence, of which there has been quite a bit in Burma between Muslims and Buddhists. And this is where the president could have a real impact, depending on the coverage he gets in the local press. National reconciliation will take time, but for the sake of our common humanity and for the sake of this country's future, it is necessary to stop the incitement and to stop violence. Obama met with Aung San Suu Kyi at her home in Burma. She thanked the U.S. for its support. Warning of difficult times ahead, however. The most difficult time at any transition is when we think that success is in sight. Saying people should not be lured by a mirage of success. Understand that about 2 days before the president landed in Burma, which the government still wants it to be called Myanmar, the new president there released some political prisoners, which was clearly for show. We have a long ways to go, but I'm going to focus on Burma because it is very important in terms of China. And China does not want to lose Burma from its orbit, and we're trying to take it away, and that's a good thing. Obama's now headed to or actually he might be speaking now, which should be early morning, probably not, at the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, and he is to meet on Tuesday with Chinese Premier Wen Jiabao, where they will be both discussing the South China Sea territorial disputes as the U.S. pivots from Iraq and Afghanistan to having an expanded military and diplomatic presence in Southeast Asia and in those waters. Japan warned on Monday at the ASEAN meeting that a row over the South China Sea could directly influence peace and stability. This is being held in Phnom Penh in Cambodia. And it's kind of been interesting. The Cambodians are trying to keep it very peaceful, and Japan and the Philippines and others making territorial claims want to have their say. Well, that's all for tonight. I'll be back with you Tuesday. If you get a chance, check out the Dust Bowl. The Ken Burns documentary on PBS started yesterday, Sunday and tonight, Monday. Of course, you can always just check it out on the PBS website. A little repetitive in terms of how much dust was coming through, but also very tragic and sad. I'm very familiar with this one town in Oklahoma they keep mentioning, Guyman, because I have very close friends who live right there, and I've seen exactly where the classic pictures of the Dust Bowl were taken. It's interesting. It's good history. Get your kids to watch a little of it. Keep the men and women of our armed forces in your thoughts and prayers, and for more stuff, go to stocksandnews.com. I'm Brian Trumborg. Take care.